Okay. Okay, go ahead. Shalom.
Okay. Rabbi Shimon, it says in Shulchan Aruch that you're not supposed to start Kriyas HaTorah or any other community matter until you get Rishus from the Gabbai. So I have Rishus from the administrator.
Go ahead. It's all yours.
Okay. So first of all, Shalom Aleichem to the people of Postville, Iowa, V'Hagolil. And I'm looking at the list of people who are on. I actually see some of my Talmidim. I see somebody from France, one of my Talmidim from France. I see people from the United States, Baruch Hashem. It is an honor and pleasure to do this. There's a Hasidic Shavart that says, "My Chanukah." What is Chanukah all about? The Gemara asked the question in the Gemara Shabbos. Tana Rabbanon, and the Gemara goes on to say the story of Chanukah. So there's a Hasidic Shavart that says, "My Chanukah." You want to know what Chanukah is all about? The Tana Rabbanon. That was Chzetz learning. You have to learn about Chanukah, and Chanukah is one of the things about Chanukah is that you must prepare for Chanukah, even though it seems to be something very simple. What is it to do besides eating latkes and lighting candles? What's the shem tzatan? But Chanukah needs a hachana, and it's actually brought in Svarim, in the Halakha Svarim, that lefi erech the hachana, the preparation that you make for Chanukah, based on the amount of hachana you make for Chanukah, that's how much you will be receiving the kedusha of Chanukah. It's brought from one of the Tasha Rebbes that he would put he would set his Chanukah menorah and prepare the oil. He would already do it by the window. He would place it 30 days before Chanukah because he would apply the halacha of Shleishim Yom Lefnei Chag even on Chanukah. So we see that you need to have the hachana. One of the ways you actually do the hachana, besides having the menorah stuff ready and all the simple stuff, and Chabad, we know you have to build menorahs everywhere. You have to get permission everywhere. I know that even Rabbi Shimon has menorahs in different places. You can't it doesn't pop up. It takes effort. So the way you prepare for Chanukah is pashut learning the halachas of Chanukah, learning what it says in Sifrei Chassidus about Chanukah. And it says, it's brought in different svarim that the Bnei Yissaschar, once, when he went to Lublin, suddenly he felt he was misorder a special feeling. He wanted to know where from wann stammt. The Bnei Yissaschar had this feeling. Maybe I'm going to ask my Rebbe from what is my source? What is my roots? Because I feel very funny every time Chanukah comes. I feel a special feeling on Chanukah, special hisayrus. Was punkt epis on Chanukah, I have that special hisayrus. And his Rebbe, the Chayzer from Lublin, told him, you should know that you come from Shevet Yisachar. And why you feel a special hisayrus on Chanukah is because in the time of the Chashmonaim, you were in the Bezdin of the Chashmonaim, not you. The Shevet Yisachar was the Bezdin of the Chashmonaim, and because they were the Yisachar had the Malamdei Torah, they were the Dayanim, and because you come from the Shevet Yisachar, you feel the special feeling on Chanukah, and that's actually the reason it says why the Bnei Yissaschar actually title his sefer the name Bnei Yissaschar. Rabbi Aaron, I lost the picture from the people in the poster. Are you still there? Oh, what happened? It went off. Oh, now it's back on. Okay, so we need to have Chana, and it says that these days of Chanukah are very special, are very halik. It's a very, very special time that no matter who you are and what level you are, the Eibishter Kvayachol lowers himself down to the lowest of levels of neshamas and tries to give them light and lift them up. It's brought in the Ma'orei Nayim from Chernobyl. The Gemara says that in Gemara Masechah Shabbos says that there are limits, restrictions are what lights, what candles you can use for Shabbos candles. Certain psilas, certain wicks, and certain oil should not be used, each one for a different reason. Either it doesn't burn well, or and you might tilt it on Shabbos, or it makes a bad smell, and whatever it is. But the Gemara clearly says that even though there are many restrictions for which wicks and which oils you could use for Shabbos candles, for Chanukah candles, there are no restrictions. Obviously, we know that olive oil is better, but restrictions as there is in Hilchah Shabbos, there isn't on Chanukah. And the lashon the Gemara uses is a beautiful lashon. The Gemara says, "Psilaisu shmanim," the wicks and the oils, she'ein madlikim b'Shabbos, which don't get lit on Shabbos, on Chanukah you could light them. And he interpreted, there are some people that don't get inspired on Shabbos. Their flame, their fire doesn't burn on Shabbos. But even those people, when it comes to Chanukah, somehow, some way, even they get inspired. And that's all because Chanukah, Shabbos, you feel you have to be a holy person to be inspired. Shabbos is all Kedusha. Chanukah is a weekday. A weekday is symbolic for a person like me. I'm involved with Gashmias. And even a person like that who feels low and feels empty, and a person like that, even like that, you have to ignite, gets ignited with the Chanukah candles. And that's why Chazal also says, there's a big machlokes if kabsa, if the Chanukah candle gets extinguished, do you have to relight the candle? Or do we say that once it got lit, as long as it burnt a little, it's good enough? So there's a Chassidish psak, kabsa, that if the candle gets extinguished, even if chas v'shalom, a person's neshama, his light, gets contaminated, it gets covered, it gets diminished, ayin zakokla. The Eibush just somehow on these days is going to do something to lift you up. So the days of Chanukah are very, very, very special. Not only very special, are very holy. I don't know if somebody's writing something there. Yeah, somebody wrote something. The days of Chanukah are very special, very, very holy. In Hayoim Yoim, I think it says that you have to sit by the candles and listen to what the candles are telling you. The story of Chanukah has to be with us and last forever. Just to tell you the segulas, some of the brachas that a person gets from Chanukah, I'll tell you some stories. There's a story of a Chassidish Rebbe that a person who Nebuch didn't have children came to this Chassidish Rebbe, and he says to the Rebbe, the doctors have told us that we have to wait for the summer season, for the month of May. We have to wait for the month of May, because then the weather is much better, and that will help us with our need. Somehow it will help us with our blessing of having children. So the Chassidish Rebbe responds and says, you know what? You don't have to wait to May. Wait here and be here Chanukah, because the Lashon HaGemara is also May Chanukah. You'll have whatever you need, whatever benefit you have from the beautiful weather of Chanukah, you could have all those blessings with the May Chanukah. Just internalize the blessings of Chanukah, and you'll be blessed with good. And some actually brought that when you take the words Melech, Roifei, Ne'eman, that Hashem is a king who is a trusted doctor, those three, we say in Shemoneh Esrei, those three words, Melech, Roifei, Ne'eman, Hashem heals, is the same gematria of Lahadlik Ner Chanukah. And Chanukah, if you utilize the time properly, it's a bracha for many, many, many blessings. So after said all this, the question is, if Chanukah is such a great Yom Tov, and it's so important, let's give a look at the Gemara. let's give a look. What does the Gemara tell us about Chanukah? And there's a fascinating question. The fascinating question is, Chanukah, by the way, you know that Purim happened before Chanukah, right? About Purim, there's a Masechta in Shas called Megillah. About Pesach, there's a Masechta in Shas called Pesachim. About Shabbos, there's a Masechta in Shas called Masechah Shabbos. About Shavuos or any other Yom Tov, there's a Masechta Shas called Beya. Why is there no Masechta in Shas for the Yom Tov of Chanukah? I just told you how important it is, what you could accomplish, great things you could accomplish in Chanukah. There is no Masechta Chanukah. Where is it mentioned? It's mentioned in the Gemara Shabbos, where the Gemara talks about the mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles. So they threw in a couple of pages over there in the Gemara, in the Talmud, not even in the Mishnah. Why would Rabbeinu HaKadosh, who is the author of the Mishnah, why would he not make a Mishnah with putting it in a section of the laws of Chanukah? Now, this is a very, very, very famous question. Do you know that in the halachas of Chanukah, there are a couple famous questions. And one of them is actually titled the Kushiyas HaBeis Yosef HaYadua, the well-known question of Beis Yosef, where the Beis Yosef asks why we celebrate Chanukah 8 days if the miracle was only for 7 days. And there's many answers for that, starting from the Beis Yosef, brings a couple of reasons. The Rebbe has a couple of reasons. And this is the only sefer I've seen, as I know, there's somebody that wrote a sefer called Ner Lameya, a candle for 100. That's a statement that a candle that it makes light. The same candle could show light for one person. It could show light for 100 people. You don't need 100 candles, right? So there's a sefer called Ner Lameya, a collection of 100 answers to that question. And that's one of the only places I see that sefer has a haskama from the Rebbe. The Rebbe wrote a haskama to that sefer. 100 answers. You cannot pass the holiday of Chanukah without addressing that question. Why do we celebrate it 8 days when there was oil enough for 1 day, so the miracle is really 7 days? But besides for that question, which everybody talks about, there are other famous questions. Like, for example, the other one is V'hidliku neiros bechatzres kachecha. It says that after the Yevanim overpowered the Greeks and they came into the Beis Hamikdash and they purified everything. It says, and they lit the menorah bechatzres kachecha, in the holy courtyard. And everybody's troubled by that statement. The menorah wasn't in the courtyard. And it says plural, courtyards. The menorah was inside. Why is it saying they lit the menorah in the courtyard? That's one of the other famous questions on Chanukah. But today I'll discuss the third famous question in Chanukah, and that is, why is there no Masechta in Shas about Chanukah? It's only gobbled in as part of another topic. So the son of the Vilna Gaon answers this question by saying there actually was a Masechta in Shas. He says that his father, the Vilna Gaon, said that, you look in the back of a Gemara Avodah Zarah. Anybody know how many Masechtas are in Shas? How many Masechtas are there in Shas? There's a way to remember it. Anybody? Anybody learn Daf Yomi? There's so many Daf Yomi programs. So there's a way to remember. What is a title? What is the title you give to somebody who studies a lot and somebody who's brilliant? He knows the whole Shas. What is the title? The title we give him is a Go'in. A Go'in is somebody, yeah? What do you want to say? A Go'in, no, you with the green sweater, you want to answer the question? You went like this. A Go'in is a brilliant Talmid Chacham, right? So if you take the word Go'in, Gimel, Aleph, Vav, Nun, the numerical value is 60. There are 60 tractates in Shas. So somebody who's fluent in Shas We say going because it's 60, whatever. But if you look at the end of the Gemara Avodah Zarah, there are some Gemaras that are very, very small. And it's good to know this because the Rebbe, there's a halacha that says that if you're a kohen, you're a special person. If you're a daughter of a kohen is also a special person. So a daughter of a kohen should only marry royalty. Shouldn't just marry anybody because she comes from royal lineage. So the Rebbe, if anybody would write in a letter to the Rebbe and say, I'm asking for a blessing, I'm about to get engaged to the daughter of a kohen. So the Rebbe would always point out, make sure that you're royalty. What is royalty? Royalty is either you're a kohen or you're a Talmid Chacham. How does a person become Talmid Chacham overnight? How do you become a Talmid Chacham? There's a Talmid Chacham is you learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, and you're still the tip of the iceberg. So the Rebbe would make a note, and the Rebbe would say, follow what the Tzemach Tzedek says, that you learn one Masechta and you're fluent in one Masechta concerning certain halachas, you're considered a Talmid Chacham. At least for this halacha, that you can marry a Bas Kohen, you are a Talmid Chacham. What do you mean? Which Masechta should I choose? Some Masechtas are 100 pages. No. Choose one. And the Rebbe would refer us, choose to the Maseches Tanos. There are a couple of Masechtas that are very, very small. They don't even have too many. There's no Gemara on them. In the back of Masechta Avodah Zarah, there are 3 or 4 Masechta Tanos. So the Vilna Gaon says that there used to be. There's also Maseches Tefillin, Maseches Mezuzah, and there used to be Maseches Chanukah. So he answers that question. The Rebbe maybe did make a Masechta. Rabbi did make a Masechta about Chanukah, but we don't have it. The Chidah gives a different answer. The Chidah says Rabbi didn't have to make a Masechta for Chanukah like he did for other Yom Tovim, because even before Rabbi wrote the Mishnayos, there was Megillas Tainis. In the Megillas Tainis, over there, it's written about Chanukah. So Rebbe felt it's enough. It's everything you got to find out about Chanukah. For those who lived in a generation knew about this Megillah Tainis, is everything that they know they would have learned there. So he didn't write a special Masechta in Shas. There are other answers to this question. Another answer is given that Rebbe didn't want to print a Masechta of Chanukah because at that time in history, it was very, very, very controversial. There was a story back then. Of a prince, a Goyish king, that one of his kids passed away. I'm not going to get to the detail of the story. And if he would see and he passed away during this time of the year, and if he would see Jews are celebrating and lighting candles, it would cause an uproar. So that's why Rebbe didn't want to make a fuss about it. The Chassam Sofer gives 2 separate answers to this question. One answer everybody accepts. The second answer, a lot of people challenge. The first answer that everybody accepts why Rebbe didn't make a Masechta in Shas, he says, you know what? This is not the only thing. There's no Masechta in Shas. There's no Masechta in Shas, Tefillin. We all put on Tefillin every day. Why for Mitzvah Shabbos there's no Masechta in Shas for Mezuzah? There's no Masechta in Shas for Tzitzis. Why not? Because the things that everybody knew and it was given and it was tradition passed down, Rebbe didn't need to make a Mishnayos. Things that had to be deliberated and talked and discussed, Rebbe made the Mishnayos. For whatever reason, Chanukah was accepted and everybody knew. There's not too many halachas and everybody knew what to do. Everybody celebrated. So Rebbe didn't feel that I have to make a Mishnayos out of it. That's one answer the Chassam Sofer gives. The other answer the Chassam Sofer gives, which causes uproar in the Svarim, is some say that Rebbe intentionally did not want to write a Mishnayos for it. Because Rebbe felt that he felt a little hurt from the story of Chanukah. How did he feel hurt in the story of Chanukah? Because with who did the miracle of Chanukah happen? With the Chashmonoim. Chashmonoim were from Shevet. Chashmonoim took over in charge, and they were not from the descendants of David. Now, the Torah tells us that the leaders, the kingship, has to be Mizera David. And Rabbi is a descendant from David. So Rabbi felt personally hurt, cheated, that in history there was a time that it was taken away, leadership was taken away from his lineage, so he didn't want to make a Masechta and Shas about it. But you could only imagine how everybody attacks this answer. You're not talking about a guy like me and you. We're talking about Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Rabbeinu HaKadosh doesn't get disappointed if this is what Hashem wanted or this is how the miracle happened. Rabbeinu HaKadosh is not the person to get disappointed and to try to ignore the story. It was a major miracle. So it doesn't really make sense to say that that's why he didn't put it. But the bottom line is, this is the discussion why there's no mention in Mishnayos about the halachas of Chanukah. In Hasidic outlook, there are other reasons for why Rebbe didn't make a Mishnah out of it. Rabbi Aaron is going to post on their group. This is not my first gig. I do this for a living. I give classes like this. So over the years, I have many short classes, even on the halachas of Chanukah. So I sent him a link of about 5-10 short Chanukah halachas that if you want, you can watch and you'll learn. One of the things I mentioned over there's a very famous discussion why on Chanukah why on Chanukah we spin dreidel, and on Purim we spin a gragger. And one of the Hasidic explanations is that the dreidel you spin from on top down, right? You spin the dreidel on the bottom and the spinner's on the top. And gragger, the handle is on the bottom, and it's what spins on top. And I believe Yitzchak Mibaditchev, I think it was, that makes the difference by saying this is symbolic to the different types of miracles that took place between Chanukah and Purim. In Chanukah, the miracle was a different sort of miracle than Purim. Purim, for many people, it looked very natural. We had the queen, the right place, and the right time. It didn't look like it looked like it was a miracle that came from bottom up. So the spinning is from the handle is from the bottom. Whereas on Chanukah, in the Chanukah, it was definite that it came from a top down. So the spinner is from the top. So some say, Chasidic Svarim, Moshe, you're writing these things down? Good. You understand what I just said? There's no question the Rebbe has a Sicha. I'm referring to, I don't know, you guys don't see, the other people are on. Some of them are my other students. So we even have somebody from Japan now. We have somebody from Japan, somebody from France. So I want to welcome them. But the Rebbe has a fascinating Sicha.
Welcome all the guests. Welcome.
Sure. Rabbi Aaron, you could even tell them what happens every week, and that maybe they'll join every week. Some of them are thirsty to L'shmoya Dvar Hashem. Okay, anyway, let's go weiter. The Rebbe has a fascinating Sicha that we say three terms when we refer to the miracles that took place in Chanukah. We say Al Nisecha, Al Nifloisecha, Al Yeshuisecha. Nisecha is miracles, wonders, and helping hand. And the Rebbe points out that sometimes we say it in that order, and sometimes we say it in the other order. In the beginning, we say Hanera Salono Onam Adlikim, Ala Chuwais, while Nisim on the flies. It's a different order. Why does the order change? And I'm saying this parenthetically. So the Rebbe explains in the miracle of Chanukah, there were many parts to it. There was small parts that you didn't see the miracle yet, but there were some parts that was obviously a miracle. On Purim, It wasn't obvious a miracle. We had a queen. We had connections. You had to be smart to realize that Hashem is playing the whole game. But on Chanukah, you didn't have to be smart. You obviously saw the miracle. And the Rebbe says like this: the story of Chanukah began in a city called Modi'in. And over there in the city called Modi'in, they didn't allow us to do what we're supposed to do. So the Chashmonaim fought them. Okay, that's not such a big miracle. You know why? It's a small shtetl. Let's call it Postville. Let's call it Postville, Modi'in. And Chashmonaim were bullies. They were strong people. So for the Chashmonaim to fight their own small little town and win them, all you need is Yeshua. All you need for two people to fight, you need just one extra push on one team, and that will do the job. You don't need a miracle. Then the Yidden came to the next step. The next step was they weren't fighting just the Goyim and Modi'in. They were fighting all the Yavanim. Whoa. To fight all the Yavanim, 5 people, Matisyahu and his kids, to fight the whole Greek nation. And as we elaborate in the Alamissim, Rabbim b'yad ma'atim, they were many, many more than us. They had weapons and all that, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. That's impossible. And then there's the part that they come into the Beis HaMikdash and they find the jar of oil. That it happened to be the Kohen sealed the jar of oil, put it in the bottom. And okay, so that's a wonder. That's a wonder. So the Rebbe says there's wondrous thing. Oh, if you win the lottery, that's not a miracle. That's a wow, but it's not a miracle. So the Rebbe says there are different parts of the holiday symbolic to the different levels. So over here, the reason why Rabbeinu HaKadosh didn't feel that there should be a Mishnah about Chanukah, because this was a miracle. And because this was a miracle that we had little input. The Eibishter spun the dice. Hashem did it mulmailach. When do we make a sefer, a Mishnah about a holiday? When you, derech hateva, the nature was broken. That's a Chassidish Zeher about another reason why he didn't want to mention it. All right. Before we get to some of the halachas, there's a question: why is the Yom Tov called Chag HaChanukah, and why is the Yom Tov not called Chag HaShemen? You know, the Rebbe brings in the Sichos. We all know that Chanukah is a play of words. Chanu Chav Hei.
Reb Nachman, I know by the not from, but by the world, they call it the holiday of lights, Chag HaOrot. I don't know, by our sources, it is mentioned something like this?
No.
Okay.
Called Chanukah.
Hanukkah, yeah, okay.
Okay. And Hilchas Chanukah, right? The Yom Tov is called Chanu Chafei, which the Rebbe brings a big machlokes in the Meiri and the Rambam. When did they celebrate? When did they rest? The Yom Tov of Chanukah is that the first day they started resting. In other words, yes, the Erev Chanukah, which is tomorrow, right? Erev Chanukah is not tomorrow. No, Wednesday. On Wednesday is Erev Chanukah. On Wednesday, they were still fighting. And the 25th, they rested, or they stopped fighting already. Did it stop on the 25th, or it already stopped a little before the 24th? So there's a machlokes rishonim when that happened. Chanu Chafei. Did the fight enter into the 25th, and mid 25th they stopped, or it stopped a little earlier? Okay, there's a big machlokes about that. So the question is, even though it's Chanu Chafei, but why are we making a fuss about the resting, and why not making a big fuss about the Shemen? This is actually the Mittler Rebbe asked the question also. We make such a big fuss about the insignificant things somehow, and we don't make a fuss about the winning of the war. Nothing about the mention, nothing. We speak about lighting candles because of the miracle of candles. Come on, miracle candles, 5 people fought against the whole Greek nation. Why don't we really do anything about that? And the Mitzvah Rebbe basically explains that that's because you have to understand what the war was all about. It wasn't just a physical war. It was all about spiritual. And therefore, because the winning of the war, the winning of the war is more of a physical victory. But that was a side point. The fight and the struggle and the enemy was really about to uproot the Jewish religion. And therefore we celebrate it in a more edel thing, more refined thing. And we call it, and we celebrate it by lighting candles. But the question is, if so, why is it not called Chag HaShemen? Why is it called Chag Chanukah? So it's brought in a Sefer Ner Mitzvah that actually in the word Chanukah, I'm sorry to say this, but I forgot. I see somebody quoting from a Sefer Ner Mitzvah from Rabbi Yosef Mishash, and a bell rings in my head. I forgot. I also wrote a book called Ner Mitzvah. I was worried he's quoting me. Okay, Baruch Hashem, he's not quoting me. So he says that Chanukah, in the word Chanukah, everybody knows it's Chanu Chaf Hey. They rested on the 25th. But there's another play of words. Take the 5 letters of Chanukah, you spell out everything about the miracle. Chag Nitzachon, the holiday of victory. V'neis Kad Hashemim, and the miracle of the jar of oil. So in the word of Chanukah, you actually have it all. Incidentally, I see somebody bringing that in Hebrew. I see some of you are Israelis. In Hebrew, they call a menorah. They don't call it a menorah. Somehow they call it a Chanukah. And people are trying to find where is the origin of the word Chanukah. It's not really Lashon HaKodesh anywhere. Where does that come from? So for those who are Israelis, you could study that. Let's go to some halachas. You should be, you want to say something, Rabbi? Okay. The halacha is that you have to light a candles on Chanukah. This is a very, very interesting halacha. Because, as I said in the Sichos of the Rebbe talks a lot about why is it that this Yom Tov we celebrate our victory and our salvation by lighting candles. How lighting candles a symbol of the victory? All right, put that aside. But besides for that, this is one of the only mitzvahs that we see levels. Now, if you want to buy an esrog, that's the other place. You could buy an esrog for $50, for $100, for $200. You buy a nicer esrog. A nice one, a beautiful esrog. But over here, it's very interesting. You learn Shulchan Aruch, and it's basically on the Gemara. To fulfill the mitzvah of Chanukah, you have standard, you have plus, and you have plus. And halacha, we all do plus. Standard halacha for lighting the Chanukah candle is you light 1 candle per family for the whole Chanukah. 1 candle per family for the whole Chanukah. That's what the mitzvah is. Upgrade plus, not 1 candle per family. 1 candle per person. 1 candle per person. I'm sorry. 1 candle every day you add. 1, 2, 3. That's Mahadrim and Mahadrim. I'm sorry. The regular halacha is 1 candle per household for the whole holiday. The plus is not 1 candle for the whole holiday per household, 1 candle per person for the whole holiday. But still 1. We don't do that. We do plus. Per person, every day an increased candle. And in the term of halacha, there is the mitzvah, there is the mahadrin to do it better, and then there is the mahadrin mina mahadrin. And the $1 million question is, why is it that by this mitzvah, more than any other mitzvah, we find this mahadrim min mahadrim. That's what we all do. We don't find it in any other mitzvah. That you should be mahadrim min mahadrim. And the Beis Halevi asked this question. The Rebbe has a sikha about this question. And the basic answer they say is the same. This is one of the only stories where the Yidden who are part of this miracle had many ways and many rhymes and reasons how to do things standard. But they decided standard is not good enough. They're going to be better than standard. When they came into the Beis Hamikdash and all that they found was impure oil, they didn't have to wait, travel 4 days, come back 4 days, and get pure oil. Halachically, the halacha says, Tuma hutra b'tzibur. That if majority of Klal Yisrael is tamei, then the tuma is exempt. You could run shop as if you're tar. They would be allowed to use the impure oil and use it on the menorah, because that's what halacha says. If that's the situation, until we get pure one. No, the Yidden said we're not going to allow that to take place in the Beis Hamikdash. We want pure oil. So because the Yidden acted in a way of mahadrim and a mahadrim, the mitzvah to celebrate it comes in stages. You could also choose mahadrim and a mahadrim. Or some say if they were cheap and they knew they only had one jar, they should have used smaller wicks. They could have found ways how to split it up and make it work, manage for 8 days. No, they said we're not lowering our standards. It's the Beis Hamikdash. We wanted high standards. Any nick or crack, anything to diminish the level of the Beis Hamikdash, we're not going to let. So when the Eibishter sees that, the Eibishter says the mitzvah of Chanukah will also be paid back, that you'll have a way how to do it. Mitzvah, but I'll also allow you to have higher standards of mahadrim, min mahadrim. So everybody, as I said, has to light the menorah. Who's everybody? Male and female. Female if she's single. Just like we don't light the Shabbos candles, we are exempt when the wife lights the candles. A woman who's married could be exempt by her husband lighting the candles and participating, being there. Why? Why is a woman obligated? We know that women are exempt from any mitzvah that's time bound, and because this is a temporary time, only these 8 days, she should be exempt. So Chazal tell us, because since a woman was part of the victory of the mitzvah, Yehudis of the Nes, and they were also saved for this miracle. They also have to show thanks, so they have to celebrate it the way we celebrate it. Especially that a woman played a big role in the victory of this. So why taka are women? Why don't we see women doing it? So the reason why they don't do it by themselves when they have a husband, is because why can't, just like the Shabbos candle? But others give a different reason. Originally, the mitzvah of lighting the menorah was to be placed outside, in front of your door, on the outside. Women, for modesty, for tznius, have a halacha of kol kvuda baspelach nima. They should be introverts. They shouldn't be rah-rah out there. So some say that would be the reason why the Chassam Sofer says this, that since it's meant to be Pesach Beisim Mibachutz, they were exempt. But of course, if a woman is single, she still has to do the mitzvah of lighting the candle. How about children? You know, by us, the Rebbe was very instrumental that every kid should light the menorah. It's fine. A kid who has chinuch should light the menorah. But how about a young girl? Should young daughters light the menorah? So So some say that since it will be a little disrespectful for a little daughter to light the menorah when her mother is not. If her mother is not lighting it because she's exempt from the father, by the father doing it, it will be a little disrespectful. And others say that maybe children in general, again, by the Rebbe wanted everybody, it looks like, boys or girls or whatever. But some even say that maybe kids are not really obligated in the mitzvah. Again, I'm saying to you what I'm telling you from the sources, but it's not our minhag, because the way we light the menorah is different. As I said, there are stages. There's the mitzvah, and then mahadrin. You don't have to be mechanech, educate a kid to do the highest level of the mitzvah. So some say that for that reason, the Machzis of Shekel says that. For some reason, if push comes to shove, children could be exempt. Will help me though. I have to go give a shiur in a minute. So let me jump aside. Let me jump ahead. So that is, I want to finish off in a minute. I told you that I sent to Rabbi Shimmel. As I told you, this is not my first gig. I do this. So I sent him questions and answers on the whole Hilchos Chanukah of the Shulchan Aruch that I gave to my students to review. And I also sent him a link to a couple of short halachic classes on Chanukah. And I think you would like this. But let me just finish off with something fun. We all eat nicely on Chanukah. Either you eat Chanukah latkes, or you eat sufganiyot, which are donuts. In Israel, people eat donuts. In America, people eat latkes. And there's that. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach actually said there's a reason why you became into donuts, because for a donut you make a mezainis, and a latke, if the potatoes are ground, you make a adama, and when you make a adama, the after bracha is a bari nefashos. The after bracha on a donut is a mezainis. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says there was an issue. The issue was, Chazal tell us that when the Chashmonaim got into the Beis Hamikdash, they purified, they cleaned up everything, they rededicated the Beis Hamikdash. The only thing that it couldn't be matar, there was the Avnei HaMizbeach, some stones of the Mizbeach that the Yavanim really broke, and those stones, the Yavanim, the Chashmonaim couldn't figure out what to do, so they hid them underground, and they were really in pain for that happening. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says maybe that's why it switched from a hadama food to a mezainis food. So you should make the ala michya, and only in ala michya you mention va'al mizbechacha. You want to mention the fact that there's something that was lacking in the mizbeach, even though the Chashmonaim came back. So that is the food item that we spoke about: the dreidel versus the grager, the latka versus the sifganiyot, and then there is Chanukah geld. It's actually brought in Svarim that you give out. The Rebbe wanted you should give your kids Chanukah geld actually every day. The Rebbe was a giver, which I tell you, was a giver. But many people have different customs. If you give them the fifth lichtel, a lot of people try to figure out what's unique about the fifth day. Some say it's the fifth lichtel can never fall out on Shabbos. But in Svarim, there are different reasons. And listen, I'm running out of time. In 1 minute, I have to give a shiur in Hilchos Dayanis. So I hope this was informative. Everybody should have a freilich Chanukah. I'll leave you with a question. I don't know. This morning, as I was thinking, I have to think about something to say for Rabbi Shimmel about a freilich Chanukah. You know, the whole world goes upside down. Why is it that we say on Pesach, we wish each other a kosher and a freilich in Pesach? Why do we use that? I don't know why we say a freilich in Chanukah. So Shulchan Aruch clearly says there is no simcha on Chanukah. There's no mitzvah to have a meal on Chanukah. If anything, on Chanukah, there should be a lichtige Chanukah. Why do we stress a freilich in Purim? Yes, it's a mitzvah to have simcha in Purim. But why the minhag is either way, mizal zayin freilich, mizal zayin lichtig, and mizal zayin gesund. Kol tuv, everybody. Nice meeting you. B'suras Toivus.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.